guys, here's a question. Do you want to change the way in which you live? Do you want to be shaken? Do you want the truth? And whatever answer you give to that is totally fine, man. Because if you receive the truth and you're shaken by it, your life is completely different. The things that matter to you no longer matter to you. You've encountered death in a certain way because it's killed a big part of you. Like, I'm just kind of trying to figure this out. Like, if I come out here and tell you guys, there's a fire outside. Okay, so you'll laugh and you'll smile. But other than that, you guys are just kind of like staring. In other words, I don't get the joke of that. Like, why just coming out and saying that there's a fire would make people laugh? But it does, as he says here. What do we expect the clown to do? We've already said it.
Make jokes.
Make jokes. And so if the clown makes jokes, what are we expected to do? Be laughing. And so the clown is playing a role, and so is the audience. So the clown is putting on the makeup and the costume of the clown, and then he's fulfilling his role. The audience has shown up, probably wearing whatever they're supposed to wear, and then they're also fulfilling the role of an audience. So can we think of anywhere else in life, perhaps, that we put on the costume of something to pretend to fulfill the role of something? Nowhere at all, huh? We all kind of gather around and listen to one person present something or perform in some way. And then school is one place. And then we pretend to be interested. How about you ever do this? Because if you nod, then the teacher won't call on you. And they'll make them pretend like you're interested. And we pretend to write things down when we're really just writing notes, because we're fulfilling the role of something. We're pretending to be something so that we can all just kind of get along. And now you can start thinking about that much more broadly as well. Think about any of you guys, I'll ask anyway. Maybe some of you know other people's parents who are very friendly and, everything's great. And as soon as you leave wherever it is that you are, all of a sudden their whole personality shifts. Like you get yelled at in the car, but wherever you were, like maybe they take you to church and everything's, we're just a wonderful, great family. And as soon as you get into the car, they start yelling at you. And then there's something else. Or, hell, you have teachers who will pretend to be one thing. And if you ever see them like out in the world somewhere, you find out that there's something completely different from what they pretend to be. Because, why? Well, because they're playing a role. I guess I'll ask you guys this. What is a teacher supposed to be? Easy for me. I don't have to be knowledgeable. I guess I can just come up here and spout stuff. I don't actually have to care about you, do I? That's not on our list. Okay. Now, here's an even harder list. As a student, what are you supposed to be? I'm not asking you what you pretend to be. I'm asking what you're supposed to be. Dope. So you don't have to be curious. You're not supposed to be thoughtful. You're not supposed to be hardworking. You're not supposed to be studious. You're not supposed to be inquisitive. You're just supposed to sit there and listen. and then once in a while just nod, so it sounds like you're taking it in. And I don't know what that means, to be responsible and to be respectful. Okay. So I'll pretend to be entertaining, helpful. I'll pretend to explain and educate you, and you'll pretend to be a listening, responsible, respectful student. So we can continue this dance. We'll pretend to be these roles. I don't know. And then you start thinking about it also as a son or a daughter. What role are you supposed to fulfill? What roles are your parents supposed to fulfill? This one always messes me up, man. A role model. I am not a role model, man. And I think I said that in the first week of school. I am absolutely not a role model. And people hear me say that and they get freaked out and they're like, well, what do you mean you're not a role model? I don't know. What does that mean? Am I supposed to be a model of good behavior? I'm not that guy. Am I a model for having lots of degrees? I'm that guy. Am I a model for seriousness? Oh, I'm not that guy. Am I a model for discipline? I'm not that guy. Am I a model for self-discipline? 100%, absolutely. But I don't know. I mean, it seems strange to me that as teachers we're supposed to be role models. I don't know who. I mean, you have parents, you have family, you've got community, you have a lot of people around you. Are your parents teaching you English? Okay, then I'll let them cover that aspect, and I'll cover the English aspect. We'll build you up these two ways. But no, I'm 100% not a role model. You guys will hear terrible stories about me. Some of them are even true, but they're all entertaining. They're all fun. I guess what I'm saying is, some of you are gonna have a very different list for this, and some of you have a very different list for this. And this is why some of you will like some teachers and despise others. And this is why as teachers we will like some students and despise others. And a lot of it has to do with this expectation. How about this? What do you guys think I expect out of you? Do I expect you to go to the bathroom and come back quickly? Clearly not. Does it surprise me when people don't? No, not at all. Why not? I've been doing this for a little while. I guess the only expectation I have for you is, I guess, this part right here. Be respectful. Don't make the place worse for people. Don't make the environment worse. At least leave it neutral. And hell, if you can make it even better by participating, like those of you guys who participate, I appreciate the hell out of you, man. Because that makes the class go so much better. And what you have to say is probably far more interesting than what I have to say. But what it is that we're going to hear from people, by the way, is going to have a lot to do with the roles that we're expected to play. You know, if you hear the clown coming out, if you hear the teacher coming out, I'm not saying the teacher's a clown, but I'm not saying that we're not, because oftentimes we do wear those masks. You know what I mean by the mask? Yeah, that's, by the way, that's what's so damn scary about the clown. The clown will paint a smile on their face, and yet you look at them and you know that they're frowning. Like you can see the frown, or even just the neutral face on the clown. Why does the clown have to paint a smile on their face? So they can seem happy, because they're not really smiling. You have to paint it on their face. But then again, don't some of you paint smiles on your faces also? Don't you show up to school and I ask you guys, here's the first lie of the day. How are you guys doing today? How are you guys doing? So that's your first lie of the day. Because some of you are dying inside and you're still saying good. But then again, what are you supposed to do? I'm dying inside. I'd rather you do that, then I would know, but then again, so would everybody else, and maybe you just don't want to say that, but maybe that's the first lie that we say. But then if we present that to the world, why are we then so surprised that the world doesn't see us for who we really are? I wonder how many of you are like that. Like I had a student a few years ago, and I was asking her one time, what is it that you'd want the world to know about you? Because she asked her, how do you think people see you? And she says, people see me as being extroverted and involved and happy and fun and laughing all the time. And I asked her, what would you want the world to see versus what they do see? And she said, I'd want them to see how sad I really am. And I asked her, how would they ever know? And she's like, I just wish somebody would notice. And so we go out of our way to make sure that people don't notice, and then we're disappointed when people don't notice. But I guess that's part of that kind of like game, I suppose, that there will be somebody who notices, and that's when you know that you have like an actual connection with a person, when they can look through that mask that you're wearing and the face that you're wearing. Because I mean, we all wear masks. Some are just more beautiful than others, but eventually they get itchy, we take them off, and maybe that's the time that we get known by people. But the audience heard exactly what they expected to hear. The clown came out and he told a joke. It wasn't a joke. They just assumed it was a joke because that's what they expected they're going to hear from the clown. The clown could have given them the deepest truth about the nature of existence and the soul, and they wouldn't have heard it because they were expecting a joke. When you guys walk into a classroom and the teacher's talking to you, what is it that you expect to hear? Are you expecting the teacher to joke with you, or are you expecting the teacher to be serious? I mean, how do you know when I'm joking? Any of you guys know how to tell when I'm joking? It's really easy. My mouth is moving. I say a lot of things jokingly. I just said that very seriously, but that's a joke. And that's probably why people think I'm so serious all the time. I'm not. I'm constantly joking all the time. There you go. Now you understand it's funny. And you can ask me, are you really mad at me? I'd say no. But sit down anyway, because I'm getting tired of hearing it. And for some of you will say, my God, my goodness, he uses the F word. He is not a role model. It's almost like he was honest and told the truth when he told us he's not a role model. Yeah? But I can do these other things pretty well. And so it's the masks that we wear, but eventually, like I said, we don't trust the clown because we look at the clown and what we see doesn't match up with what we see. Or I guess we could say what's being portrayed with the makeup does not match with what we see on the face. That's why clowns are so damn scary to us. Because we can look at them and know, you're hiding something. And you're hiding something behind a veneer of happiness and joy. And then whatever's behind that is going to be scary, probably. Because you have to wonder about a person who goes about their life wearing something like that. Now, why is it that people become clowns? It's because they want to murder children, right? Or maybe it's because they want to make people laugh, right? I don't know. What is it that you hear? What is it that you see? It's a Rorschach test. Whatever it is that you see is probably what you came to see. And it's been said that the traveler, sees what's there, the tourist sees what they came to see. When the audience shows up, they expect to hear a clown. They expect to see a joke. So even if the clown walks out there and says, all right, guys, I'm going to kill myself in front of you, they'd all laugh at it because they're expecting it to be a joke. If they expected something serious and he told a joke, they wouldn't get the joke. It would go completely past them. Happens a lot in my classes, actually. Because we expect to see something, we expect to hear something. And that's an important point, by the way, because that tells you that's how we view the world. Because none of us views the world the way that it really is. We view the world the way that we are. If we expect life to be a tragedy, it's going to be a tragedy. If we expect life to be a comedy, it's going to be a comedy. If we expect that people, and that everybody out there hates us, you're going to find that people hate you. And if you think that everybody out in the world loves you, that's what you're going to see, that everybody in the world loves you. It's difficult to step back and remove those biases and try to see the world exactly as it is. We can get better at it. We can get closer to it. But largely, we just kind of see what we came to see. If you walk into a classroom, whatever it is that you see from like a teacher, that's probably what you're going to see. Maybe over time it'll break down, and then you'll see them for who they really are, for better or worse. And the same is true about students as well. It's hard to remove those biases. And in this case here, what's it going to cost it? Well, in this case, it's going to cost the audience their life, because he's trying to warn them, you're about to die, and they're laughing, they think it's funny. And there are things in your life that you're going to miss entirely and completely unless you develop the ability to see what's actually there rather than what you expect to see. I was just talking to somebody last night. Someone called me like 1 a.m, and he was telling me about having, he was in a, long story short, he does jujitsu. He was in a jujitsu tournament a couple of weeks ago, and he finished third. He's very disappointed with himself. And he said he was arguing and fighting with his girlfriend. And she told him, like the day before, I hope you lose and I hope you get hurt tomorrow. And then like an hour before the competition, she sent him a text message and said, sorry for that, I hope you do well. Which is, strangely enough, having been told by her that she hopes that he gets hurt, had him focus on his task. But when she sent him that follow-up, it screwed him up, sent him all over the place, you know? And so then he told me that they ended up working things out, talking and everything. And then he told her, when you sent me that message, you know, it really messed me up. And she's like, oh, so it's my fault? Is that what he was saying? No, but that's what she was hearing, because that's what she came expecting to hear. She expected to hear complaint. She expected to hear accusation and blame and all this ugly stuff. So, you know, try to hear things for what people probably mean to say, rather than what they say. Try to hear people for what they actually say, not just how they look. You know, some of the wisdom that I have found it in some of the strangest places, man. And if you think about what a wise person looks like, I don't know, I guess a wise person looks like wherever wisdom comes from. That's pretty much it. And I found wisdom scrawled onto the side of a dumpster one time. True story, North Park. You know, so wherever you find wisdom, it's where you're gonna be open to finding it. Wherever you're gonna find joy is where you're gonna be open to finding it. Where you're gonna find misery and suffering will be wherever you're open to finding it. So maybe commit to finding more truth, seeing the world as it really is, and laughing a little bit more. Like a Kierkegaard, he's a funny looking guy. brilliant but funny-looking guy, man. So, questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? You're not wrong about a lot of what you just said, but that's also kind of the job of the philosopher as well. The philosopher goes out and tells us about it and tells us something very serious, and then we laugh about it, or we don't understand it, or we get confused by it, and so therefore we completely miss it. You know, the philosopher can tell you some things about your life and tell you some things about existence itself that will absolutely shake you and change the way in which you live. I guess here's a question. Do you want to change the way in which you live? Do you want to be shaken? Do you want the truth? And whatever answer you give to that is totally fine, man. Because if you receive the truth and you're shaken by it, your life is completely different. The things that matter to you no longer matter to you. You've encountered death in a certain way because it's killed a big part of you. Anybody? I don't know if anybody in here is willing to acknowledge it. If you've ever had a near-death experience, something where you almost died, and it stayed with you and changed the way that you live.